Thank you so very much for this. Am I shouting? I should reduce my voice. Let me reduce my voice. That's the Christmas feeling. You know, once you are approaching the ending of the Ember month, you have a bit of in your feeling of happiness. So I'm very, very motivated to be here. Everybody has a touch of green on what they're wearing. Look at the beautiful green glasses from our CEO Experience Services Nigeria Limited, person of Madam Mae, and also Mr. Wisdom, who's not new to the house. I would say you should introduce yourself, but you're too proud. I'm not going to give you the opportunity. Today we're going to be talking about something that touches us very vibrantly in all the places that we need to not be touched as business owners, right? And for me, it's such an emotional topic because unfortunately I've had unpleasant younger life experiences on what this topic can do. So welcome to Beige Podcast. It's always a fantastic time to be here. This is where we talk about things that have to do with finance, business, human resource, financial management in your companies, and everything that has to do with your businesses that you're running from or out of Africa. And then today's topic, we are going to be discussing why don't African SMEs join forces to scale globally? If you are a Marvel fan, you will know that when it comes to joining forces, you know, we have such a strong brand in the Avengers brand, whereas they joined forces. And what did they do when they joined forces? They saved the world. Is that what they did? Maybe not. But the most important thing is that they joined forces and they created something that they did not know that they would create. What the Bible says? The Bible says, one shall gather how many?
8,000.
But two shall gather how many?
10,000.
Thank you so much for that very, very wonderful
chase, not
contribution.
gather.
You say?
Chase, not gather. But we get the point.
No, it's fine. It's fine. If you want to come to my podcast and correct me on something that I'm telling you, that's fine also. But also know that there are grounds for kicking off from this podcast.
Wow.
We value your input, but you must also be very, very
It doesn't
careful.
even look like I'm part of the podcast because
Listen, we know what we are doing. We have competent hands doing this. So before we dive into this very, very romantic topic, I just want us to do just a small, brief, romantic introduction because today we have a new, shiny guest.
Wow,
And,
shiny.
Yeah. So just give them a little bit of
Shiny.
taste.
Like
a little
normal
bit of
Gloria.
taste. Of you say?
Gloria is my name today.
Ooh,
Yes,
I think so.
That's my name today.
So Gloria, because the GLO, the glow.
There you go.
I think so.
There you go.
For those who might
Get
not have
it.
picked it up at the
Absolutely.
first. I love
Absolutely. Hence the shiny.
it. Hence,
The shiny.
the shiny.
Yeah.
So please, Merry Christmas in advance to you, ma'am.
Merry Christmas.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, you've already introduced me, kind of. There isn't much more to add to that. I'm Bukola Maye, the CEO at Experience Services. We're into human resources, all aspects of human resources, but with a focus on recruitment and, did you say professionalism? With a focus on recruitment and training, personal development, because there's a gap in our environment, our society, etc. So yeah, that's who I am. I have over 20 plus years experience in several sectors, financial services, education, and now human resources. So yeah, that's who I am. I'm happy to be here, actually.
You know,
I think this is going to be fun.
I think
it's
so
going to
too.
be a good time.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think so.
So thank you for having me.
Thank you so very much. Mr. Wisdom, you have already introduced yourself twice. So, yes, now, on the first 2 episodes. So, I don't think it's fair on the audience to continue to hear who you are all the time. Every time they come, they are hearing who you are. I can give you 20 seconds if you want. Please, take it away, sir.
just go and watch the first and second episode. My introduction is there, according to what he said.
That's fantastic. Thank you so very much, Mr. Wisdom, for that brief introduction that you not introduce yourself. Now, we have a small snippet that is going to usher us into this ministry that we're discussing today. Don't forget the topic. Why don't African SMEs join forces like the Avengers to scale globally? Not just in Port Harcourt, not just in Nigeria, not just in West Africa or Sub-Saharan Africa, globally, right? So we're going to be speaking about that. And then there's this snippet that I love so much that our darling producer has also put for us here. He says, in Africa today, at least over 300 companies have annual revenues of 1 billion or more. Collectively, they produce revenues of more than 1 trillion. So global business partnering with local organizations has been a game changer for their expanding market. Now, the way I interpret this is the scripture that you said that I misquoted, which I've forgiven you about, that one shall gather 1,000 and two shall gather 10,000, right? So these guys are saying, since you on your own are doing 1 billion, 1 billion, why are you people not connecting to be able to to be able to join those resources and even gather a lot more? There was a company that we were discussing sometime, BlackRock, their influence on global markets, etc. And when you look at some of these companies abroad, it's really a conglomerate of several other companies that do several other things that then contribute back into the pool in terms of both resources, income, etc. So let me start with you, Mr. Wisdom, since you are wearing green and beige is also green, and today is also a green day, and we'll have green days going forward. What is your take on this small snippet?
Thank you very much. To be on calm.
Yes, it's okay, bros.
So, like we discussed in the last discussion we had, I think is a slaver's mindset that most Africans have. Everybody wants to be Oga. And because we're in a society that puts so much, should I say, respect or attention to class, when I mean class, in terms of like what you have, not what you can do or who you are and all of those things. Everybody wants to show off. So because of that, and then there's this global, should I say, stereotype that entrepreneurship will make you rich. I hold a slightly different perspective. It will make you rich if it works. And most times, it doesn't work. Right? But the few times that it does work, then you'll be rich. You'll become Elon Musk. But for one Elon Musk, there are maybe 10,000 other people that do not succeed. So in Africa, we tend to have people trying to, because they want to be the king, lording over so many other people. We tend to want to do our own instead of collaborating with people that have complementary skills that we don't have. So you find that a lot of entrepreneurs in Africa are actually, like, if they play on a global scale. So, for example, you see an entrepreneur from Africa who is hired to work in the West. They're always killing it because you are now forced to pick up multiple skills that if you were in the West, you wouldn't have needed to, right? You see somebody's really good in, let's say, my industry, advertising, right? And they want to maybe go into technology. In the West, you just go and look for a CTO and co-found, right? And you guys run your stuff. You have great skills in marketing. The person has skills in technology. But in Africa, the person will go and learn technology, right? And now be doing marketing and technology together. So even though we are resilient, but we are dissipating energy we shouldn't be. Right? And building businesses that aren't as scalable as they should be because of that.
Wow, very, very intelligent take, because I also am of the strong opinion in terms of this, your conversation around the skills that you need to set up and run your business, right? In terms of people now realizing that, okay, I need this additional skill, then they go take a course instead of find somebody who has done 4 or 5 years already so that they can scale faster. And then they take the course, waste a year or so, come back and you're still not as good as somebody that would have done or that is already in that industry permanently. But I just also want to get your own take around the conversation, that's the raging debates also.
Sure.
What do you think is wrong with us?
For me, I have a different perspective.
Right.
I'm sorry, guys.
No,
beg
please,
to differ. First of all, I want to know what, I thought we were focusing on SMEs. So I want to know what SMEs are making these billions, first of all. I don't know them. I'm not making these billions. I don't know if you guys are making these billions, but it would be really nice to get some insight on these organizations. Are they really SMEs? Are they really in Africa? That's my first perspective. I think many countries or many SMEs, many organizations, companies, etc., in this part of the world, post-COVID are really struggling. And I think the first, your gut instinct is to stay afloat, is to keep your business alive. So the issue of partnering for a global presence or global whatever is not even the case. We're just trying to keep our lights on first, right? Now let's move away from those that are struggling and those that are doing well. I think, like I said, I disagree with you guys a little bit. I think the face of that is changing. I just watched a post on Instagram with I think it was the Lagos Fashion Week, it was the GT Fashion Week, or one of these fashion weeks that they do in Lagos. And I saw there's a designer, a very popular designer, Tubo. She's a female designer. She was showcasing, she featured on the runway for another designer. So she was one of his models that went on the catwalk for him. And they are two completely separate businesses, but they are in the same sectors, sector. So there is partnership. And now, because Nigerians, so let me focus on the clothing sector, the fashion sector now, because a lot of them are looking for this global presence. We're seeing a lot more partnerships where, okay, I have the access to a store in the UK. I want to have a pop-up, but I'm going to invite other brands similar to mine to join me in the pop-up, to come and showcase their products in England so that they can also get that global visibility. So I think it might be sector specific, maybe, perhaps, I don't know. But either way, I think that is actually changing. Howbeit slowly, but I think we're starting to see more of that happen. Now, in terms of the global woo-ha that we're looking for, we're not anywhere close to that yet. But I think gradually that it's changing, gradually. Even from my perspective as a business owner in human resources, I have been contacted by other human resource companies from other countries that are looking for, presence in Nigeria and, just some kind of relativity in Nigeria, partnerships. And I've been open to that. None has actually worked out yet due to, semantics and modalities. But, I think gradually we're starting to see it change. That's my opinion.
Absolutely. One thing me I like about life is that if life is a coin, you cannot experience only one side. There must be a second side of the conversation. I'm always happy about that. The inquiry around the company. So they actually said companies. They didn't state whether they were SMEs or medium scale. But I thought that it was also really good for the conversation because we have more SMEs than these companies that are doing these numbers. And for partnerships like the ones that you've discussed now, where people are now fusing together, I feel emphasis on feel, like those are more enlightening conversations. Those are more enlightened CEOs, enlightened business owners, talking to other enlightened business owners, where they are able to structure out modalities that benefit both of them or one of them today and the other tomorrow. When we come down to the bulk of the SMEs that are running the economies and that are employing the 2, 3, 4, 10 people, I suspect, emphasis on suspect, that it may not be. But I also did not see, I didn't see or take into cognizance this aspect that you've brought. And I think it's an encouraging one, for everybody out there to just sort of like reach out and, wow, that's very interesting. That's very, very interesting for me. Usually what we do, on this motivational series is that we actually take input from the audience. So sometimes we allow people to go out, reach out to us, and then they now ask us that, okay, this is what I'm going through. This is where the thing is paining me, so they will now give us questions. Our producer will now compile it, and then he will now be able to, bring this to our notice as well. Okay. So then we'll quickly go into these questions, but just also to additionally point out that some of these partnerships, that we are speaking about, apart from local partnerships as well, international partnerships will also somehow find a way to come into the conversation. Let's take a question here from, as we always take questions, right? So this guy says, I'm Chinedu and I run a small tech business in Lagos. I had this bright idea to join forces with a friend, a fellow tech entrepreneur who was doing something similar to what I was doing, but had a better digital presence. I had the resources, and I believed if we had joined forces, we would be able to serve a larger market. But when I pitched the idea to her, she wasn't too sure. Okay, it's a lady. She continued to see me as a competitor and seemed worried about me riding on her fame or trying to take advantage of her digital presence. So the question goes, how do we overcome trust issues when trying to work with people in our field? Has any of us on this table, ever let competition hold us back from partnering up? Mr. Wisdom, do you want to give us a little bit of insight?
I think that I'm just going to give one data that I ran. I was watching something from the Indian Chambers of Commerce this morning. And just something for us to ponder on as we begin to answer this, because there are a lot of things that touch different fabrics of our society that is responsible for some of these things.
Right.
India has 111 unicorns. A unicorn is a business that has done $1 billion, right?
Right.
And India has 111. India has about 150,000 SMEs. So that means technically, back to the answer that Madam Buki was saying, they have about 10% of their SME population as unicorns. Africa has 7 unicorns.
The whole
of
Africa.
Africa.
The whole of Africa.
Wow.
Has 7 unicorns.
Wow.
Now, what would I say would be the difference? First, there's no trust in the society.
So can you blame them?
Yes, no, rightfully so. Number 2, the infrastructure. So now there's already no trust. The infrastructure that will protect everybody, it's not like it doesn't exist, but it's not effective. Right? Then 3, back to what I was saying. Everybody just wants to be a lord. So now you have skills in marketing or you have attention. Somebody has technical resources. I'll always, like what Jay-Z said, owning 1% of $100 million company is better than owning 100% of nothing. If you already have attention, this is not the only project that you can be part of. So it means that you yourself, the person is not complete, right? Because if you are complete, you understand that I can give a little, I can give a little to 10 people, and when you bring it back together, it will be more than if I just concentrated on one. The other person too, the person that sent in the question, I think should be able to evaluate the worth of this person's attention. So, who is this person, right? If I was going to pay this person, how much will it cost? Because sometimes we go into partnership that could have very easily been paid for. So,
when you say paid for, what do you mean by paid for?
So let me call this person an influencer. How much is your service? Can I afford to pay you over a period of time? Even if I can't, can I cut a contract where we state my expectations of you over a period of time and you get rewarded maybe based off of the results that you bring to me than a partnership? Because I always would tell people, partnership is marriage. Once you go into partnership with anybody, you're married to the person. Now, in our society, they teach us how you should relate with your spouse and all of those things. That's the same way you relate with your business partner. Now, if you're not willing to be ride or die with somebody, don't go into a partnership. Because I don't know if the person has gone in, but if the person hasn't signed a contract yet, I'll say terminate this stuff. Do like a 6 months trial period. People should cut a bit and see whether, because if this person is thinking that you are using me already, once they do their first $1 million, the fight will break out. The person will now say, if it wasn't for me, you won't have XYZ. This one will now say, I am the business. It's messy.
So sorry to cut you, but so does that mean that there's something like, because from this example that you just explained now, pay for service than you go to partnership for, but is there a middle ground, like a short-term partnership kind of situation?
Yeah, so there's a style, very predominant in the tech industry, where they, what they call vested shares, right? So if I'm going to go into a partnership with you, I'm going to drop a structure over a period of time. So maybe 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. And then you'll be getting a little part So we'll be marrying each other small.
Court wedding.
Yes,
Traditional.
we'll do all of those things.
I love it.
But so that if we go do knocking of door,
I think so.
then we see that
The door no knock. You know
the
open.
door no gree open.
I think so.
Oh wow.
Then we know that it can't work. It's time to just
Call
and
off
I mean,
the engagement.
If after knocking of door you say you're not doing again, it's not really bad. Once you have gone all the way, now you've printed flyer, you've done pre-wedding, all of those things is harder.
Yeah.
So I think that this person, first of all, started from a disadvantaged position. So it feels like this person is all the way popular, and maybe I might be wrong, but maybe they looked at it like what I am offering this person does not commensurate what this person is offering me. Because it sounds like an unfair negotiation from the get-go. And I can already tell they don't have anything written down just by listening to them. So I think that if you don't have anything written down,
get your pen and your paper.
No.
And your lawyer.
You people will come back and talk.
Okay.
And then talk with the mind of, if it's not working, let's continue being friends instead of fighting over. Because once money enters, the dynamic changes in Africa, in short, everywhere in the world.
I mean, that's well said. I think part of our problem in these parts of the world is we also only want to do partnerships with people we know, our friends. So I know Wisdom. I'll go and meet him.
So the only thing that qualifies me to be your partner is that we are
have
connected.
A relationship. Yeah. We're friends, right? Or I know Louis. I want to partner with Louis. I think it's also a mindset.
This is deep.
This
one.
You enter. Madam B, I think it'd be like we will give you sweet because now you are giving us something very.
I'll give you sweet from my pocket.
Why you go to put sweet for pockets?
You stole the sweet.
You see yourself on live TV.
From the sweet pots.
How you go from pots enter pockets?
But thank you.
That should be the thumbnail. Pots to pockets.
You know, I genuinely think that is part of the problem. We need a major mindset shift. I have been in a partnership with my friend. We ran a school together for 5 years, an early years school here in Abuja for 5 years. And I keep saying that one of the things that helped us to run that business successfully for the 5 years we ran it for is the fact that we had two things that worked for us. The first thing was a high level of emotional intelligence. So we were both very self-aware, or we are both very self-aware. We know our strengths and we know our weaknesses. So there's no room for, Bookie, you're good with people, deal with people. I am good with policies and processes, I'm going to do policies and processes. It was that simple. So our emotional our self-awareness was very high. So that helped. And then the second thing that helped us was our level of maturity. I would say that if one of us was petty and the other was mature, we would have failed woefully and probably ended the friendship too. And this is a 20 semi-plus year friendship, right? We're not even friends. We're like sisters. So I think a lot of times it's that mindset. It has to shift. And if you think it's easy to go into a partnership with your friend because you know them, trust me, you are very wrong. Explore opportunities with people that have similar trajectories with you. It goes beyond just I know you, you know me. There's so many other things you could look at in terms of wanting to partner with someone. So this guy, I don't know why he has picked this girl. Was she known to him? Is she popular? Or
his girlfriend.
Do you understand? Like, what is the reason?
You can see that you couldn't say that thing with your chest. Please continue.
You can explore so many other opportunities, but I think the first thing we need to do for this to work is to shift our mindset.
Right.
Understanding that it is possible to have partnerships. It is possible to partner with people that you don't know successfully. It is possible to have global presence even with partners that are outside your jurisdiction, your geography, and even be still successful with that. Do you understand? That whole thing of lording over people, it's a cultural thing. You know, I'm the chairman. I want to be the only one. You know, that individualistic mindset. It's an individualistic mindset. Whereas if you shifted that to a communal mindset, you'd be amazed at how far you can go.
But I have three, slightly. So with the working with friends, Madabuki, I think the balance to it would be evaluating the strengths of the people you have around you. So, I mean, yeah, friends, that's fine. At least you know the person. But now, beyond that, does the person have what you need at that point in time? If the person does not have, don't hope that the person will develop it.
Yeah.
Because the friendship would even hinder the person from developing it because what we call see finish in Nigeria. Then the second part that I also wanted to bring a bit of, should I say,
Throw a bit more light.
yes, right, would be a situation where, like you mentioned, you are good with this, I'm good with this. I find that friendship gets in the way. So you don't have honest conversation. In short, in Africa, we are very emotional, right?
Yes,
We are not very
businesses,
objective.
Yes, with our emotions.
We are very emotional. So
Yes.
if they tell me, so I'm the head of, I'm like sales lead, right? And they tell me, look, your sales are sleeping. Instead of me to focus on your sales are sleeping, I'm going to focus on how can you tell me my sales are sleeping? I mean, you've forgotten. And then number two, because we focus a lot on activities and not results. Right. So I came to work, I spoke to these leads, but at the end of the day, what is the result? So we are not, like Madabuki said, the maturity to have tough conversations is not really there. Number three, this back to the idea of if you want to be the Lord over all in your business, there's a name for it. It's called sole proprietorship. You can run a one-man business and it will be fine.
Yeah.
Just know that it will not be scalable.
Right.
You can't scale, right? But you will exist. There are businesses that when I was growing up, I mean, I grew up in New York for the first part of my life.
Oh, yeah?
Those businesses existed. No, there was a bakery that was owned by this uncle that we just knew. I was serving the entire street. It was it's a nostalgic feeling anytime I walk past the bakery. He's dead now, almost. But within the time that he was alive, it was a thriving stuff. It was something that brought the community together. And it was fine. He was cashing out. At least our household alone, they used to give him at least 200 naira. No, 50 naira every day that time. Because my mom will always get us the fresh loaves. That kind of business is not the one we're talking about. You can be the alpha and omega there. You have your special recipe. You have but once you want to do business that your children can come and inherit, your child self is not you. So that's already a partner. You need to start creating systems. You need to start having these discussions, tough discussions, because that you are a partner in a business doesn't stop you from being accountable. You need to be accountable to someone or God. If you are not, your business has failed.
Wow. Thank you so very much for that. Now I can't actually put a pen on what I'm thanking these our producers for, but I'm happy about the conversation so far. Before we went off, we were speaking about the collaboration effects in terms of like the SMEs, and we were talking about Chinedu, Man on Fire also. But let me even just also ask as well, since we are now all, talking about this, and we also, don't forget, we talked about the emotional part, how we do business in Africa. Super emotional, So, Wisdom did mention of a situation where somebody will say, if you are a salesperson and your sales are declining, they will now ask you, say, why are your sales declining? Instead of you to give constructive feedback or something, you will now say, even though, why you go ask me? All those things, right? So I feel that like it's a going concern for everybody that is involved. We can sit here and talk about all the reasons why partnerships should be done or why they shouldn't be done. In fact, we can even talk about whether is it not better for us to be competitive against each other to find the best one, so to speak. I personally don't think that's the way to go, but there are some schools of thought that would think that way. But now, let us even now focus on the solution to the problem, right? What is our take on? Thank you so much. We are here. How do we get to the next? Because I believe that building global businesses is going to be a must in the next 10, 15, 20 years, right? I also believe that a lot of the global businesses that will be built are from things as simple but necessary as organic whole foods. So, agro and food processing, right? I'm not even going as complex as tech or any of those things. So, but to get there, to feed Nigeria, then Africa, then the world, then those that will relocate to Mars, we must be in a position to foster these partnerships somehow, despite our regulatory policies, despite our emotional parts. So, what do we think are the things that we can do?
I have a question.
That's fine.
Again,
That's okay.
my view is always slightly um, unique.
Which is why you're here.
I think that's
Yeah.
why I'm here. I think.
Yeah.
So, for example, there is a company based out of, um, I think they're based out of, well, they have operations in Abuja, but their vessel is in Lagos. They're a seafood company. And I don't know if you know this, but one of the best prawns in the world comes from Nigeria. We sell to New York because New York has a very high consumption rate of prawns, these types of prawns that come from Nigeria. So this company exports seafoods. They sell locally, but they also export. I think their export business is one of their
Thriving
yes,
businesses,
is their
especially with
big
these
business.
exchange rates now.
Exactly. So that kind of company, for example, has been in existence since the 70s, I think, or 80s. And they're very successful. They're doing very well. They're making good revenue, etc., etc. What would be the motivation, for example, for that guy who kind of already has a presence in the US, maybe only the US, to go even more global? Because I'm happy where I am, not greedy. You know, this my $1 million I make every year. I'm okay with it. I'm already in America and I'm in Nigeria. I'm good, right? So there is no real reason why I should enter China or enter Europe. I'm good with America. I'm not greedy. I make $1 million every year. I'm good. So again, you also have to think of it from that perspective as well. Like, are people willing to scale beyond what they're already doing? Because we export cocoa, we export shea butter, we export. There's so many things. Sesame seeds. There's so many things we export, but it's not known to the average Nigerian that we export all these things. There are people that are doing it already. They might only be selling to one country, fair enough, but they're exporting either way. They have an international presence. So it begs the question that those kinds of people, for example, why should they do more? Now, for the people that are only local and they're thriving, they're doing large sums in revenue and profitable to a very large extent as well. And they're just like, you know what, the stress, because doing anything cross border from this part of the world is stressful. I can tell you that for free. Even getting your regulatory documentation alone is stressful. We're in Nigeria, we know everything is stressful. So I'm thinking, I'm already doing well locally. My business is thriving. We're growing, we're scaling, though within Nigeria. But I'm okay. I don't want to have to deal with this international presence. The stress is too, I'm dealing with enough stress already locally. Imagine adding that international factor. So maybe some people don't want to deal with it as well. So it might not necessarily also be from a perspective of, you know, I want to be the only winner, or I want to be the only one succeeding. It might also be from other aspects as well. What is the way forward? I think the way forward for me, because I think that was the question, but I just wanted to look at it from a different perspective.
Very important.
Yeah.
And demure also.
Thank you.
Thank
Is
you.
it mindful?
It's mindful.
Thank
It
you very
is.
much.
It's
Is it
mindful.
cutesy?
It's cute.
Thank you.
I love
Thank
it.
you very much.
Yeah.
So I think from that angle, okay, what is the way forward? I think it's really just about sensitization, awareness, right? The people who have had successes in this thing can, let people know that it is possible. It's difficult. Everything in life, I think, is difficult, to be honest. It's difficult, challenging, comes with risks, etc. But at the end of the day, it's possible, it's feasible, and it can be done. So I think if more people that are already doing it, for example, let me give you an example. You know, information is key.
It is.
There are some containers that come in from the US and they have to go back to the US. When they're going back to the US, guess what? They're going back empty. They're going back empty and they have to go back. So someone like me who needs a container to send my products to the US, I can capitalize or leverage on that empty container that it has to go back anyways.
Yeah.
So you see, access to information is also critical.
Very key.
We do not have the information. So there are also people that are willing, but they don't know these things. So I think awareness is the key, right? Putting it out there, having workshops, seminars, sensitization programs, etc., on telling people, informing people that these things can be done. These are the steps and processes in which you can do it. And these are a few success stories of people that have done it, right? I think for me, that would be one way to go.
Wow.
I have a question.
Okay.
And it borders on gatekeeping.
Right.
Because we do used to gatekeep a lot.
Yeah, we do.
Let me speak for Nigeria. I was going to say Africa, but let me speak for Nigeria.
Yeah.
Because you're wearing green.
How do you resolve that? Because if, let's say you're starting a bank today, is there a blueprint on how to start and run a bank that all this, let me even just use the Fugas, have put down? There's none. There's none. So your only luck would be to be connected enough to sit down with any of the founders, if you are lucky. And even at that, you'll still be exposed to whatever they can remember as at the time of the discussion.
Right.
Some people are beginning to document some realities. I feel like in the next 30 to 40 years, we'll eventually start having data around some areas in our ecosystem, right? And around being willing or like having the intention to scale, my thoughts are, it's fine if you don't want to scale. But I choose to also look at business as a way of serving humanity, right? Because with each time that you try to scale your business, you are going to employ more people. You are going to have to either bring technology in, which is, so the way I look at it, if you bring technology in your business, that technology is developed by someone. And for the person to be able to add one more layer to service you, the person will have to bring one or two more people on their team. So you are actually, directly or indirectly, providing a source of livelihood for people. I think that's why it's sometimes important for you to consider scaling your business, right? Number 2, taxes. The more money you make, the more money you pay the government, right? And the government, under normal circumstances, would then use that money to develop the community, right? Those are 2 reasons, just for people that are watching, that you should consider to, scale your business. So back to it, then the solution, Madam Buki has already mentioned sensitization. But I think that everybody within your own sphere, just try and document. I listened to Dr. Cosmos Maduka, I think last year. He was speaking at a private dinner, and he mentioned that when he started his business, he had an exercise book, 4 exercise books, that one was for inventory, one was for expenditure, one was for cash, and I've forgotten, I think the 4th one would have been ledger or something. This was several years ago, but the guy started creating systems in his business. And I'll tell you the testimony. I hope that maybe he gets to see it or somebody that knows it. I met somebody that works for him, and I asked him, tell me about, Coach Charis. The way he described it was so insightful. He said, Coach Charis is a well of money. That means he never runs dry. He never runs dry. I desire that for my business. Because now he's not in the day-to-day of the business. Yeah. And the business is a well of money.
Wow.
You need to have done something right for your business to keep producing money when you are no longer actively part of it. So I think that we need people like that can track how they got to the top. A lot of the people that are around too cannot exactly, they won't want to tell you because it's not straight.
It's not pure.
Right?
Of course.
But I think that for the most part, I can go to my business and say that for the next generation of people that are going to do X, Y, Z. That's why I'm forming these things that I'm doing. You know, we need to now know that building a business is a service to the community beyond profit. So doing your business properly the way it should be done is the same. I mean, Madam Buki would have experience with America. There are businesses that have existed for 50, 60, 70 years. 100, right? And some of them are not
100.
necessarily multinationals. They've just existed in the community, and everybody knows that this thing belongs to this family. This is the purpose for this, you know, and all of those things. Yeah. And if you go into those systems, there are things that there's a continuity plan.
Right.
That's each generation that is coming to meet it. And for them, it now becomes like a legacy, something that the community wants to foster, right? We need to start doing the hard work, right? And not just focusing on only profit. That's what I think.
Wow, that's...
Yeah, because we are poor.
That one will be tough in Nigeria.
It will be tough, but we will have to find a way around it. I personally think that it's an insightful time. For me, I feel that like these conversations definitely apply to those who have made up their mind to go into entrepreneurship, because the truth of the matter is that it is not for every. You don't have to be honest. You can still be successful in your life, in your community, without bringing everybody else along. So, but once you've made the decision to do that, then you now have to consider that, okay, now you're here. It's not just about making profits. You need to somehow lay the foundation for people to come in as well. But it has been really an exciting, insightful time. Just before we go, I would just like to beg capital letter B, capital letter E, capital letter G. Madam B, thank you so much for coming. First of all, thank you. We have another very motivating, insightful session that we will schedule at a convenience that is convenient to you, most convenient to you. I'm not saying come yet. I'm still begging because I'm not yet said, but it will be seen on camera that I was begging, and it's not about this because we're going to be talking about building teams that are sustainable, building teams that work, you know. And we know that this is something that, in fact, very soon you have a training on it somewhere this week. So it's something that is already inside your blood, right? So if we can perhaps put a syringe and remove some of that blood, bad, horrible analogy, I shouldn't have done that. But at the end of the day, if we can get some of that knowledge from you, we'll be really excited. We're begging capital letter B. Yes, we'll have to find a way to make, you see? Gatekeeping. You're keeping the gate. Anyway, it's a fun time. We have this awesome newsletter, The Interest Compounder. So if you can follow us, we'll put the details somewhere in the description. We send in weekly, lovely, insightful letters. Maybe the next one we'll just drag it on. We'll get some of that blood so that we can put inside some of these letters. I think there's enough blood to share. I think the sharing of blood. Tell us about it. It could also mean the excitement is full. I think Beige Urban Dictionary. I love it. Fantastic stuff. Anyways, now they say I should look at you because when you're begging somebody, you must look into their eyes. Please help us to grow our social media community. We are trying to build 100 USD millionaires across 50 African countries. And then we cannot do this without the community bringing in each and every of the things that they know about finance, about investment, about business, about human resource, about government regulation, etc. So forth. So please like, follow, subscribe. We're on YouTube, we're on X, we're on Facebook, we are everywhere. Just look, you will find us. And also you can also look in the description. You also find the things that you need there. Subscribe to our Substack, subscribe to our email. And then, of course, keep sending in your questions. Shout out to Chinedu and all the other people that have been sending in their questions so far for us to have discussions around. With that, I think it's a nice time. Mr. Wisdom, do us the honors. I've already done the big part, but you can just tell them bye so that you contribute also.